My name's Krystal, and my mother was murdered last year. I was always obsessed with the dead, but the obsession got worse once she crossed over. Before she had died, I had already ghost hunted at some of the most haunted locations across the world. But ghost hunting is different for me now. Something's changed. It's personal. So join me and my paranormal diaries as I enter the doorway into the other side. Welcome to my paranormal podcast. Join me now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Ghost Girl Diaries podcast. It is Krystal Leandra, your host, yours truly. This is a paranormal podcast for those of you that are brave enough to join the circle. And remember to follow us on all of our social media platforms for more spooky content, including YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and our podcast on Spotify, as well as all other major streaming sites like Apple. You can always find all of our links at ghostgirldiaries.com. So let's get into it. First of all, welcome back. We haven't seen you in a bit. This is my first official pre-recorded not only podcast, but pre-recorded video that I've done literally in probably 2 or 3 years. And I feel like a fish out of water. I've been going live for the last few years with you guys, and it feels kind of strange not to have you in front of me. And oddly, I'm more nervous to be filming this than I am to be live in front of you guys. I feel like we have really bonded and created such an amazing community together through my live sessions, and I miss you all so much. But make sure you leave me comments down below. I love reading your wonderful, beautiful feedback because you guys are amazing, and you guys are really what makes Ghost Girl Diaries what it is. I feel like I need to say a eulogy at the moment. Right now it is the beginning of March 9th of 2023 is when I'm filming this, and it looks like the paranormal community didn't make a very good, positive beginning of the year. We always talk about good fiscal years and starting out the fiscal year good and being positive and new changes and bringing in abundance. But unfortunately January started and it just started off on a bad foot. There was some paradrama going on, and it's just continued. And I've touched on it a little bit with Kat. And I really wasn't going to respond again, but it just continues to get bigger. It started, basically the original post, I believe, was January 15th, if I'm correctly. We'll get the dates later. January 14th, I have it in front of me. And since then, it just keeps growing. Other people have started to put their 2 cents in for this, including Chris Fleming and last night, Amy Bruni. She's really what gave me the confidence to say, it's okay to speak up and say something. So let's start out this podcast with me saying you're not going to be seeing Ghost Girl in front of you right now. You're about to get a rare peek inside of who Krystal Leandra is as an executive producer and a paranormal producer, in the field. And I think the first thing I should probably do is, if you're new here, introduce myself, because if you don't know me, this is going to be new for you to understand who I am, what I'm all about, and sort of what I have built my mini empire on. My name is Krystal Leandra. I'm the lead podcast host, executive producer, and producer of Ghost Girl Diaries. I was first featured in 2011 on the Travel Channel with Zak Bagans from Ghost Adventures on the TV series Paranormal Challenge. I was the season finale winner of Paranormal Challenge, and we won for having best evidence essentially in Jerome, Arizona. From there, I was cast as kind of like a newbie producer. I was kind of plucked up from when producers saw me on television and Travel Channel. I was immediately sort of shipped off to Los Angeles, where I lived for a few years and really got to understand the ins and outs of film and production, and that was where I really sort of got to build my stability and empire of who I am and my knowledge in paranormal film and television. I like to say that I know my stuff pretty well because I've been doing this now for over 10 years, going on 15 years. I've also won 6 film festivals as Best Paranormal Director and as Executive Producers to Look Out For. So I have put in my labor not only in film and production, but also in paranormal. I've definitely made a name for myself. I have 2 YouTube channels. I have an archived old YouTube channel, which once again, you can find the links to that at ghostgirldiaries.com. That channel essentially was me teaching the paranormal community how to shoot, edit, film, and create paranormal television and documentaries. I thought that there was a really big hole missing in the paranormal genre and community. You had all of these investigators all over the world that love paranormal, but they had no idea how to film paranormal. They didn't understand the hierarchy of paranormal and production. And I wanted to be that catalyst, because if we want change, someone out there needs to teach people about paranormal film and how to do it. So that was what my entire old archive channel is about. What I would do is not only give you film lessons and teach you how to create paranormal shows or documentaries, but I would also take shows and I would critique them and I would break them down and analyze them, not only for like historical facts, but explaining how and why they were filming things the way that they were. And this includes all kinds of different shows and also critiquing ghost adventures. So now that you know a little bit about me, that's my history. I have been negotiating with production companies for well over 10 years, trying to get Ghost Girl Diaries signed as a paranormal podcast. And there is a massive amount of sexism in the industry of film, not necessarily in paranormal, although paranormal is lacking having female investigators. But now if you're putting a female who's in a male genre, right, and especially a female like me who's into makeup and hair and pretty, you know, when you go in to negotiate with these production companies to try to get your own series signed, they just don't take you serious. They look at me like, oh, you're too pretty to not only know about film, but also to want to do ghost hunting. So I'm immediately shut down, which has led up to all these years of negotiating. At this point, I have probably negotiated with every single network on television, including Netflix, including Hulu, including Discovery, including Amazon. I have negotiated with them all, and I'm probably the only person in the paranormal industry that has negotiated with every single network of existence in film and television, whether that be TV or streaming services. So now that you know my credibility and you understand my background, I want to give you my opinion on this Dakota situation as a producer, as an executive producer. And I want to break this down. I'm not necessarily taking sides in this, although I do know Zak personally, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But, you know, there's a lot of interesting things that need to be talked about. And I think that someone needs to come in level-headed, because there's a lot of attacking going on online, and I'm not here to attack anyone. I'm here to discuss this with you as if you were sitting in an executive chair with me at a meeting for Netflix. It's interesting because I don't let a lot of people in to see this side of me, because the executive producer side is very serious. You know, you guys kind of see my fun-loving side with Kat when we're streaming. I'm laughing, we're having a good time, we crack a lot of jokes. If I had my own series, it would not be as serious as Ghost Adventures. There'd be a lot of laughing, because I just think that there's so much darkness already in paranormal and communicating with the dead that you do need to bring a little bit of life into it and remember that you are alive and make some jokes and laugh even with the ghosts and the entities. But this stream's going to be the more serious business side of Krystal that I really don't show you guys very often, especially now that I've reached this level that I'm at, with as much as background as I have under me now, winning all these film festivals, negotiating, being in contract with a lot of production companies. I know everything that goes on behind the scenes, which is exactly what I've been trying to teach you guys all along. So starting out this podcast, let's start with this. Let's address like the elephant in the room, okay? It's interesting how our society works, and there is a mob mentality that happens, right? Like, we've seen this before. We've seen this with the Jeffree Star and the Shane Dawson and even Michaela on TikTok, right? We find that cancel culture, if there's one thing somebody doesn't like, we're just going to cancel them, right? We're just done and we're over it. And it's interesting how it just takes the catalyst of one person speaking out on behalf of this one particular person that has a lot of followers, millions of followers, lots of success, whatever the success may be. And then people come out of the woodwork like a mob. Now, I'm not here to defend anyone. I'm not saying that I'm defending Jeffree Star. I'm not saying I'm defending Shane Dawson. I'm talking about the mob mentality that happens. How it's almost this like snowball effect that when it starts to roll, everybody jumps in on it, and it's our society. And it really shows something's wrong with our society. Now there's a part of us, right, that like people do deserve cancel culture, right? If you're talking about pedophilia and you're talking about, people drugging people, like there's a problem. Like those people need to go away, right? And really think about their actions. But when we're talking about jealousy, and even Michaela can fall into this, because honestly, I really don't care if she added lashes to her mascara, right? For her to get canceled from 14 million people. It's just interesting how everybody wants to attack let's just be honest and call a spade a spade. It's a modern day witch hunt, right? Which I find quite interesting considering we're all in paranormal. Because in paranormal, if you are communicating with the dead, which I assume you have at some point, or you wouldn't be sitting here on my channel, right? Communicating with the dead in any form is considered necromancy, which is considered witchcraft, right? So if you have ever in your life done any type of ghost hunting, even if that means touring a paranormal building, you are a witch. You are a warlock. You are communicating with the dead because you want to feel that energy. You want to experience the other side. If you are a part of this community, why are you involving yourselves in a witch hunt that took place already in history that we've seen? If we're so against Salem, right? Like, oh my gosh, we need to create monuments in Salem. It's horrible what happened to these, 200 people's lives. They were hung for no reason. Why are we still continuing the witch hunts? For what reason? Once again, okay, pedophilia, certain things. But because of jealousy, because someone's made it to the top, it's just not the same mentality. So we're going to break this down. It's almost like somebody, Dakota's having a downfall and he needs someone to blame, right? And the easiest person for him is Zak. He's the executive producer. He's already made claims online that Zak hasn't been communicating with him since he got the series signed for like 3 or 4 years. And he's blaming Zak for not communicating with him. And that's what caused the series to fail, essentially, right? Which we'll talk about all that stuff. But it was like the easiest target was Zak. So now here comes everybody out of the woodwork, including YouTubers, content creators, you name it. And now Zak's the target and we're going to all shoot our daggers at him. It is a modern day witch hunt and he is the one we're going to hang and burn. 1692 in Salem all over again, right? Executive producers, are they the nice guys? If you don't understand the hierarchy in film, there is a hierarchy, okay? Zak is the host, producer, executive producer of Ghost Adventures. Executive producer of a television show is the top dog on that show. Everyone has one or multiple EPs per show, okay? But just because he's an EP on Dakota's show doesn't necessarily mean he was supposed to be involved. Could he have been involved? Absolutely. If Dakota wanted him involved and Zak wasn't responding to him, Dakota could have gone even higher than Zak within the network. So why didn't he do that instead of now airing out our dirty laundry? And obviously this has been going on for years, right? Because this is Dakota's words that he hasn't had communication with Zak for years. Why did it take 4 years for you now to bring it up publicly? Why didn't you address this as it was happening? Put your big boy pants on. Dakota is also an EP on Destination Fear. He needs to start acting like an executive producer. He did get his start on YouTube. He basically was on YouTube. He won a competition, got hired on as a camera tech through Zak, got to know Zak. Zak signed his series. He cannot act like a YouTuber anymore. He is continuing to act like Logan Paul. He's acting like what YouTubers do when they don't get their way. He's going to throw a fit. You can't do that in film as an executive producer. You have now reached a new level of professionalism and you need to stay there. or you're going to cut your own throat and burn your own bridge. And I don't know why you would want to do that. So the big question is, a lot of people kept saying, oh, Zak's just not a nice guy. Like, oh, I've dealt with him in paranormal. And I'm seeing all these TikToks pop up, and I'm having to block all these creators because, of course, they don't know him, but they have to, oh, I knew a guy that knew a guy. Of course you did. Of course you did. And Zak's a bad guy. Let's just back this up a minute. He's been doing how many seasons of Ghost Adventures now? A lot. I don't even know what season that they're on. I've lost count, right? I think it's like season 26 or 28. Do you have any idea what it takes to get to that season? Like, you're talking Grey's Anatomy numbers at this point. This is like one of the longest going reality shows in history, right? He will probably hold the crown for longest paranormal series in history, 100%. Do you know what it takes to do those negotiations? Do you know the stress that happens when it doesn't matter. He could still be canceled tomorrow, Zak. But he has to renegotiate every season. He has to make sure that his number's up, and he has to keep going. And he keeps doing it. But when you're an executive producer and you're having to go through the grapevine of these really, really tough discussions with the networks and the production companies, it makes you have a hard shell. You do become tough. You do become not a nice guy. And unfortunately, that's the way of the world, and that's the way of film, right? Do you think that Zak could be this real nice guy that you could just run over and he would be continuing to get 28, 29, 30 seasons in? When you are an executive producer, you have to have alligator skin as tough as nails. As tough as nails. You have to be hard. You have to be a hard person. Not only you have to negotiate numbers and finances, but it's like you have to make sure nobody gets to you. And we're seeing the ego death, or ego bruise, I guess I should say, of Dakota, because he cannot handle the fire in the kitchen of an executive producer. So he's essentially decided to go on this exposing spree, right? Dakota's going to expose everybody. Even though he's in contract still with Discovery Umbrella, even though he's in contract with Zak, he's going to expose everybody. I know there's multiple NDAs that have been signed by all parties. They're breaking their NDAs. Legal is now involved. There's a whole nother side to that. And I wouldn't doubt if he gets hit with some sort of legal lawsuit financially for talking, or he will end up in court having to pay a hefty fine to Discovery. Because he's even admitted online, Dakota, that he's had multiple warnings. He's in really big trouble right now. This goes a lot deeper than what we're seeing on the surface. Dakota basically called in the troops to have everybody back me up and support me. Don't get Destination Fear canceled. It's too late for that. That's fine. You can do that. You can do a call to action, but you cannot badmouth your own EP and throw him under the bus. Set yourself on fire and then start bad-mouthing the network and think that nothing's going to come of it. What will end up happening is he will be blacklisted, not only from his production company he's currently with, but he will probably be blacklisted from the Discovery umbrella, which means any networks that fall under that, because he's now going against the contract. And if he tries to go outside of Discovery, let's say, and get something signed with Netflix, and they call Discovery and say, hey, how is this executive producer with you? And Discovery says you don't want him. He causes a lot of PR, public relations issues, and we had to get legal involved. Dakota has probably just blacklisted himself from every single network that exists, because he could not control his ego, and he continued to talk and continued to talk. Long story short, are executive producers supposed to be the nice guys? No. Zak isn't supposed to be nice. He can't be nice. He's like 28 seasons deep in this. He has to be tough. He can't be easy to deal with. He has been working for years, rightfully so. He's worked his way up in the chain. Networks, negotiation, experience, it makes you who you are, and he's not going to be the nice guy. Destination Fear getting canceled. The question is why, and should we blame Zak? There's a hierarchy in film, and I've talked about this on my other channel, and people are wanting to blame Zak, right? It's all Zak's fault. He's the EP. He should have fought harder for Dakota. Has nothing to do with Zak. Has nothing to do with Zak. At the end of the day, Dakota needs to take accountability because he was not pulling numbers enough through the network for them to re-sign him. And you guys can go online right now and just binge watch Destination Fear all you want, but it will not change the numbers as of now. The numbers mattered in October, November, and even December, even before that. And so that tells you that the numbers were probably declining in season 3. They decided to give him one more chance with season 4, but if numbers plummeted, we're probably going to cut you at that point. Who makes these decisions? Was it Zak that came in to make the decision to cut the show? Absolutely not. Zak is a millionaire. Yes, he just posted he got a new Lamborghini the other day. So yeah, he's got some money. He should after that many seasons. However, there are people even higher up than Zak in the chain of a network. There are billionaires that make these decisions and pull the trigger, and it's usually a communal decision. So these billionaires will sit down at a table, sometimes very close to being billionaires, so still millionaires, but way richer than Zak. These people are the ones that fund this. They'll sit down and they essentially say, give me the statistics for all the shows that went out in 2022. They drop the statistics, and anybody that's below, a 60% rate of show value from previous seasons will get cut immediately. This has nothing to do with Zak. Even if Zak went in there blazing guns, screaming like Dakota wants him to, please re-sign my friend, please. The billionaires don't care. How many times on my channel, on my podcast, have I joked and said, the film companies, the production companies, the networks are ran by a bunch of rich old white men. I've said this over and over again, and I mean it. And it's still ran by a bunch of rich white old men. Most of these men and executive CEOs aren't even filmmakers. Most of them are cattle ranchers. They make their money from investments, whatever you want to call it. And they just have a bunch of money that they need to invest before tax season. And if this show that Dakota's doing isn't pulling numbers, they're not going to keep spawning out more money. They're not going to hand over $300,000, $400,000, however much it costs for one season for Dakota, because they know that it's a bad investment and it's not going to get the views. So essentially, he's asking people to throw away $400,000. Do you guys understand the cost that goes into making one season of even a documentary show like Dakota? You're talking about gas, feeding people, an entire crew, including PAs, including camera photographers, including travel, including, and travel's usually the most expensive part, right? Whether you're talking gas or staying at hotels or flying all over the place, taking your equipment, like it's expensive. I have budgeted season 1, and season 1's usually the most, and including an RV, my season 1 is going to be close to $1 million for season 1. Now you're talking about salaries, and the 4 seasons that he's in, every year they get signed, their salary should be increasing if Dakota is negotiating his contract correctly. He is the EP and the host, so he should be making the most money out of all of them. And they're not going to pay him if he's not doing enough self-promotion and pushing his series enough to get the numbers and views that he needs. And it's interesting because over the last few weeks, he's pushing this hashtag Save Destination Fear merch. And he's saying, all the money is going to go towards like a new project that we're working on. This is the most amount of self-promotion I've seen him ever do on social media for himself. He should have been doing this every season of Destination Fear. And he should be doing TikTok. All of them should be. You should need to gain your audience. You cannot just expect to get signed and the network's going to do all the work for you. The work doesn't end there. You still have to put in the work. You still have to work hard to make sure that those views are secured. And if in his contract it said he wasn't allowed to do social media like YouTube and TikTok, then he should have gotten a lawyer, an attorney, and hired that attorney to renegotiate his contract for him. because that has always been in my contracts. I can't give up YouTube. That's where my fan base is. I can't give up my podcast. I have to continue the podcast and my fan base because that's how I interact with them. I will not just stop with the series. It is about self-promotion. So at the end of the day, the ironic part to me is, why isn't Dakota taking accountability for why his series wasn't canceled? He's trying to find someone to blame, and it has nothing to do with anybody except himself. And that's a really hard... His ego is very big, we can tell, because he just wants to talk and talk and talk, right? And blame, and it's everybody else's fault, and you didn't do this, and you didn't do that. And then at the end of the day, it's like, actually, you were the EP. You're the one that should have been working on this. You should have been doing better. Somehow, right? Dakota has now come out with several, I've lost count, apology videos or tweets, saying that the network is basically asking him to release these statements, which tells me, from an executive producer stance, that now the legal department is involved. And you don't want the legal department involved. You do not want attorneys watching. I can tell you right now, everything Dakota is doing, he's being watched by multiple people at the network. And that's scary. Because you have to remember, you're not talking about the production company that signed it. I'm not, that's the first thing. He would first answer to Zak. Above Zak is the production company. Above the production company is Travel Channel. Above the Travel Channel is Discovery Plus, which is the one that owns all of that. You don't ever want the head network watching you, because that means you're going to probably be fired and blacklisted, and you're in trouble, because you've essentially said, I don't care about my NDAs, which I can guarantee you the NDAs are enacted and signed, and you cannot go against an NDA. I don't get it with people. NDAs are important. NDAs protect both parties, right? They protect the party that has you sign them, and you that signs them as the party. And this is because in any professional relationship or personal relationship, trauma can be done on either party, right? So the NDAs are enacted to save both parties. So essentially, Discovery cannot blackmail Dakota, and Dakota cannot blackmail Discovery. They cannot tell secrets on each other. They can't tell secrets on Zak. They can't tell secrets on the production company, because they are both protected legally. It is a legal binding contract. And NDAs do not expire. They do not expire. You can even speak out 10 years down the road, and you can still be held accountable for character deprivation of character. Or company. I would not mess with a network. These people have millions of dollars. So the amount of accountability he can be held legally is terrifying. And the fact that he isn't being quiet, he's digging a grave. He's digging his own grave, and he doesn't care. And he said that. He said he didn't care. And that's dangerous, because you could even face jail time. I mean, it could get really serious. And it's all because of his ego. It's all because he can't control his emotions. And the way things are getting signed, he's trying to find someone to blame. His numbers weren't good. Period. That's it. You were not pulling good enough numbers, and the network's pulling the plug. And when these decisions are made, it wasn't one person. It wasn't Zak going in, okay, the numbers were bad, we're pulling the plug. No. The funds don't come from Zak. I mean, he is an EP, so he is funding it. But the major funds come from these executives and CEOs. There's like 10, 20, who knows how. There's a lot at Amazon, okay? And they sit in a circle and they say, oh, numbers are bad, pull it, we're done, period. It doesn't matter if the fans want to see it. If that was the case, their numbers would have been better in 2022. You can't save it at the last minute. That's not how film works. They need statistic analysis to back up what they're funding. Dakota apologizing, and now that legal's involved, is just embarrassing to me. He's walking into a legal encounter, and I hope that he can afford an attorney, because he's going to be in really big trouble, if not blacklisted by Hollywood at this point, because he still can't control it. The other day I sent, I was on Instagram and I said, oh my God, Dakota needs to shut the hell up. I said that on Instagram. I was hoping someone would Snapchat or snap it and send it to him. I didn't mean that, I wasn't aggressing him. I'm saying that, Jesus, Dakota, shut up, save yourself. If you have a little bit, just save it. And he just kept going. Essentially, Dakota started a shitstorm and resurrected Nick Groff from the dead. And now Nick Groff is being hailed the hero. And I have a lot of feelings and opinions on that. A lot of people don't understand why Nick Groff was canceled. Essentially, they think that he willingly walked away from Ghost Adventures. They think that Zak kicked him out of Ghost Adventures, and none of that is true. And it's just ironic to me that now Zak is persecuted and Nick Groff is being put on this stand as the hailed hero, because that's not what happened. I broke the story first on YouTube, and it was one of my most viral videos. I think it has 1 million views, if I'm correct. Basically, Deadline Hollywood, which is a resource that we go to in film. We use Hollywood Reporter and Deadline, had broke the story on Nick. And I got the Nick story immediately, and I reported it on YouTube, and that's why it went so viral. So basically what had happened was Nick was in contract with Travel Channel and Ghost Adventures and Zak, and went behind Travel Channel's back and signed 3 new shows while in contract with Travel Channel. Signed 3 new shows with a separate network called Destination America. That is a no-no. That is a no. You don't do that. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked if Nick was also dealt with in legal and had to pay some sort of fine for what he did, that nobody knows about. It was probably hush, and I'm talking a hefty fine, if not $500,000 or more for what he did, because you never go behind a net. You don't go in contract, legal binding contract. For how many years had he been on Ghost Adventures, and then turn around and sign 3 new series as EP without negotiating it with your network first? Huge mistake. And basically, as far as I know, because I do have friends that are producers that work at Travel then and now, and they basically said that Zak was given an ultimatum. You can either continue the series on your own without Nick, because we're going to fire him, or we will cancel the entire series altogether. And Zak said, let him burn. Wouldn't you? I would. Zak did the smartest, most intelligent thing that any executive producer would do. He basically said, I'm not going to burn with Nick. He can let himself burn. And Nick got fired from Travel Channel because of what he did legally. He broke a legal binding contract in film, which is just, he was blacklisted from Travel Channel. I think he's now blacklisted from Discovery, because as far as I know, Destination America also did not know he was currently in contract with Travel Channel as well. So he basically got in trouble on both sides of the deal, which is why those 3 series didn't get re-signed on the other network. And then he disappeared for years. He was blacklisted. And Dakota is doing the same thing to himself. If you don't know how to read a film contract and you're not sure how to negotiate, you hire someone to do it for you. And it's going to cost a lot. It's going to cost $10,000, $20,000 to hire an attorney to negotiate your contract. But that's what you do to make sure you don't get screwed. If you don't understand something, if you need something changed, you renegotiate the numbers. That's why they have attorneys and agents to do that for you. And now Nick is being hailed the hero. I've had personal problems with Nick by accident. That when I did that video and it went viral, like I said, it got 1 million views. I didn't realize it was going to get 1 million views. Essentially, I pissed him off, pissed off Elizabeth Saint because he was dating her at the time. It was then reported that I think that he had cheated on his wife. He was having an affair with Elizabeth Saint. And I didn't know that. That did come out later on also through Deadline, the reports. But I think they were afraid I was going to report on that and like leak the story, and I didn't, because he didn't want the public knowing that he was with his co-star behind his wife and 3 children's back, right? And so I kind of got attacked on the VidiSpace end. So at that time, him and Elizabeth had started what they thought was going to be the paranormal of Netflix called VidiSpace, and they were harassing, haggling me to post my content on VidiSpace, and I was not interested. I think that was their way of trying to get in control of me and my content, so that I wouldn't report on them anymore, once again, because I think they were afraid I was going to leak the affair, which, by the way, I didn't leak the affair. I didn't even know it was going on until Deadline had reported it, right? But I think he didn't want to look bad to the paranormal community that he had been sleeping with his co-star and, broke up his family, right? And so it was harassing after harassing through VidiSpace. Someone ended up confronting Nick. He said he would never harass me. I don't think it was Nick personally. I think it was people that he was working with that were kind of hiding behind the name VidiSpace and him. Let's just not forget these things. You know what I mean? Like don't hail the hero. Let's not crown the wrong king, people. Okay? I guess my point of this conversation is no one's perfect, are they? Not a damn soul. Everyone watching me right now, you've effed up in your life more than once. And why do we put celebrities on pedestals? And you think Zak's perfect? No, he's not. You think Dakota's perfect? Definitely not. Do you think Nick's perfect? Obviously not. Am I perfect? No way in hell. No way in hell. But let's just not crown the wrong king here. Celebrities are real people too. They have real life stuff that happens, but society puts them on a platform and a pedestal, and it's as if no one with fame can make mistakes. Unless we persecute them through, a witchcraft, a witch hunt, like is what's going on, and it's just kind of weird to me. There's other fish to fry than what's going on right now. There's predators in the industry. I've talked about this with paranormal. The paranormal community is toxic, man. It's toxic because even the famous people that you see on TV don't understand the filming side of paranormal. There's only a small portion of people that really understand paranormal and film together. Amy Bruni's one. Chip Coffey's another. Zak definitely knows his shit. He went to school for film. I went to school for film. Not everybody did. So it becomes a cesspool of shit. And there's predators in this industry. I've talked about there's 2 men that are on television right now with 2 very famous shows with Travel Channel who have a reputation of dragging girls to their room and doing things to them that they shouldn't. I have been one of those girls that they tried to drag to their rooms. I've talked about this before. They tried to rape me, 2 of them. They thought I was intoxicated, and if my friends were not there to drag me away from them at the Stanley Hotel, these 2 predators that are currently on television right now, no, it's not Zak. It's nobody with Ghost Adventures. There's 2 predators, and why aren't we focusing on them? I know I'm not the only one. These 2 men have told other girls, oh, I can get you signed if you just sleep with me, the Marilyn Monroe effect, and they get all these young girls to sleep with them. They're kind of like old farts, right? And then they just give this trauma off onto these girls and just go on to the next one and the next one and the next, and then raping happens, right? It's just interesting to me that Zak's the one being persecuted when there's some serious toxicity in this industry. And I'm not going to lie, watching all of this unfold for the last couple of months has made me want to quit paranormal. Because it makes me sick that you have these celebrities and these people like ganging up against this one person. And I'm not even here to defend Zak, but I'm looking at this like an executive producer. What the hell is going on here? Why production companies don't actually sign and produce paranormal shows. Why? Because people are trying to say Zak's gatekeeping it. Is it Zak's fault? He's gatekeeping? No. I'll tell you why, because I've negotiated with every single network out there. None of them, and I'm talking about the network, not the production companies. I mean, those too, but I'm talking about the networks do not understand paranormal film, and they don't want to understand paranormal film. They don't want to understand the night vision, the post-production that goes into it, not only with capturing evidence and logging evidence, but also doing voiceovers and creating a story out of this episode. It's too complicated. They don't want to learn. I've gone into networks, including Amazon, trying to teach the entire network how to film paranormal TV so that they can make an empire off of it. And the networks refuse to learn how to do it because they think it is too complicated. It is easier to shoot a documentary style softbox setup like My Celebrity Ghost Story with Marilyn Manson talking with dark lighting, and he's talking about the ghost that possessed him, and there's actors reenacting it. That's easier to shoot than for us to go with they don't understand the paranormal equipment. They don't want to get, like, who's Bill Chappell? Who cares? Who cares about, EMFs and all this new, like, dictionary lingo we have to learn? It's too complicated. We don't want to do it. So they don't. So that leaves Travel Channel, and their EPs are the only ones. It's an empire, and it's becoming a monopoly, and it's the only company that does it. It has nothing to do with Zak. It's just nobody wants to learn about it. A lot of these networks that I've negotiated with personally do think that paranormal television is problematic because they see the drama that goes on in the paranormal community. And guess what's been happening for the past 3 months? More paranormal drama. So not only is Dakota ruining this, not only is he burning the bridge for himself, he's burning the bridge for his crew. Chelsea will probably be blacklisted. Tanner will be blacklisted. Alex will be blacklisted. But now everybody on the outside is going to look in and see what's going on. They're like, that's why we don't do paranormal television. It's a effing mess. That's a PR mess that we don't want to undo. Look at what Discovery's having to do right now to try to tame Dakota because he won't, control his NDA. Other networks aren't going to want to deal with it, period. They're just not. And so now not only is Dakota ruining it for himself, his crew, not only for us as filmmakers in paranormal, but he's ruining it for you guys, the audience, because he can't shut up. I wouldn't even doubt, Kat pointed out something really good today. She said, this was so dramatic what happened. She goes, I wouldn't doubt that they put age limits on this to make sure that if Dakota's so young and stupid, essentially is what they would say. They'd say, oh, like what, Dakota's like under 25. Okay, nobody under 27 is ever going to shoot a paranormal show again because the last time Dakota was the youngest in the industry, and look at the mess we had to clean up. Kat has a really good point. It's very validated. It could happen, which could ruin it for any young filmmakers under the age of 25. So it's just crazy how this will change the face of paranormal as we know it. I think the one thing that's made me sicker than anything is the content creators and the YouTubers coming out. Just because you made a couple of viral videos on TikTok and you happen to have 300,000, 500,000, even 1 million followers. You made a couple viral videos and happen to get 1 million followers. Good for you, but that does not mean that you understand the film industry and paranormal. I'm sorry. And this is exactly why I personally have never wanted to identify as a YouTuber. I've never wanted to identify as a content creator. I've never wanted to identify as a paranormal investigator. I wanted to identify as a filmmaker. And this is why. Because the entire genre of clickbait and it's all about clout and getting likes and followers, and I saw this one guy roll up on my FYP today. I'm blocking people left and right. He had 2 videos that went viral. He has 10,000 followers from 2 videos on TikTok. Basically, he's talking crap about Zak and he has no idea what he's talking about. And people are in it, right? They want to be involved. It's the Kardashian theory, right? Like, it's so funny because in paranormal, most of us identify as gothic or alternative, right? Because we're into the spooky shit year round, right? Everybody in the alt goth industry hates the Kardashians, right? Oh, I hate the Kardashians. They're sellouts. Y'all are participating in a Kardashian theory right now, aren't you? For as much as you hate them, you love the drama they create. And it's happening in our industry. Zak is the Kardashian of our industry. And it's crazy to me. It's society. Society is so dark. This planet is so dark that humans like to see the downfall and de-existence of other humans. That is dark. That is dark. I hate online bullying. No matter who it is. I don't want Dakota to fail either, if I'm being honest. I'm not on anybody's side. But this has got to stop. This is gross. It's dark and gross, and it's just shameful how bad this has become. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the worst part is these content creators, these YouTubers, identifying as, I'm a paranormal investigator for 10 years. We don't care, Joe. Okay, like, what's your film experience? What's your film creds, bud? You don't know anything. You don't know about an EP. You've never been in negotiation. You have no clue what's going on. But I know everything. It's just toxic. You think you're an expert in the paranormal industry because you got a couple of viral videos. You might be an expert in paranormal, but you don't know anything about film. This is what I've been trying to teach for years. This is what I've been trying to scream at the paranormal community. You can be the best investigator on the planet. You can have the best crew. You can have a freaking medium or psychic that just can spit information out and then you get it confirmed on a spirit box 2 seconds later. It doesn't matter if you don't know how to film it. It doesn't matter if you don't know how to negotiate. It doesn't matter if you know how to edit in post-production. It doesn't matter if you don't understand the hierarchy of production companies. This is a new genre. This just was created when Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures created it. Blair Witch, 1999 was the OG, right? It's going to take time for this to evolve. But in order for this industry, this genre to evolve in film, you guys got to get smart, man. You need to study film and start talking out your hoo-ha. Because you don't know what you're talking about. You're defending Dakota when it's his fault. If my show failed after 4 seasons, it would be my fault. Accountability. Accountability. Nobody else's fault. Nobody can save you when you're your own EP. And it's funny because I'm a woman in paranormal. There's rare women in paranormal. The only really successful one at this point is Amy Bruni, right? There is a prejudicism and sexism in paranormal against the LGBTQ, against African Americans, people of color, and also against women especially. I would put women before LGBTQ. I'd put women first, okay? And that's because, you look too pretty. You're too pretty and girly to, go film and crawl through, a haunted crawl space. So we're just shot down immediately. I've been fighting the good fight for 10 years to try to bring equality into paranormal from the female side. And you don't see me throwing a fit like Dakota online, do you? He's having one negotiation go down the toilet and he's throwing this kind of fit. He wouldn't want to know what I've been through, bud. He wouldn't want to know the negotiations I've been through. Do you know how many networks, producers, production companies have looked at me and said, you're too pretty, you're too girly. But if you were a porn star or if you did OnlyFans, we would hire you in a minute. Do you know how insulting that is because I'm a female? Because I have one female genitalia part that I was born with other than a man. And because of that, I have to do porn in order to make it in this industry. You don't see me talking about that on social media, do you? You don't see me having a freaking meltdown like Dakota is. He's got to control it. He's got to control his ego. This is a dog-eat-dog industry. I've been negotiating for over 10 years, and I still haven't gotten signed due to equality, and you don't see me acting like that. Dog-eat-dog industry. Change is not going to come from hate and throwing darts at somebody. Change comes from actively fixing it and making change yourself. not throwing darts, and it's just kind of strange. The whole thing's been very strange to watch unfold. Let's see. This kind of goes back to content creators too. Why don't I work with content creators? I've seen them online. You have these content creators that have 300, 500,000 or more, 700,000 followers on TikTok because they made some viral content and they haven't gotten a show signed yet. If these people get shows, it's completely controlled by the network, and I can promise you it's 100% faked. That's why I haven't signed my series yet, because they want you to hand over control and they'll do whatever they want with it. I've seen these content creators go at each other's throats. Oh, she copied my content. Oh, she got a show before I did. Oh, she got an interview with so-and-so before I did for TV. I should have gotten it because I have more followers. You have so much more to learn. You have so much more to learn. This is why I don't want to be part of the content creator community. That's why I set myself apart in such vastly different... I don't care if I get views. I don't care how many followers I have. I've had more success than all these content creators behind the scenes without the views, without the followers, although we do have millions of views on the old channel. I have the success because I work my ass off behind the scenes. I work in silence. I move in silence. People don't know what I'm doing. You don't know what's going on. I work my ass off because I have a goal and I'm going to achieve it. I don't need to blast it for everybody online for them to see. And that's the biggest advice that I could give to Dakota is, if you failed, work harder. Be grateful for the 4 seasons that you got, because I didn't even get that. Be humble with the universe. If you are humble with what you received, you'll receive more. If you're ungrateful, then the universe will knock it out of your hand twice as fast as if they handed it to you, because they're going to look at you and be like, he's not ready. And by the shitstorm that he's created and stirred the pot with all these people, getting all these people involved, he's not ready. He's not ready. He has a lot of growing up to do. He's very young. He even has his mom involved, tweeting tweets at people. How embarrassing. You're playing with the big boys now. You're not a YouTuber anymore, so stop acting like one. You are a filmmaker. You're an EP. Don't get your mom involved. Don't yell at people. Don't break your NDA contract. You are with the big boys now, so act like one. I'm going through my notes because I just want to make sure that I cover everything. I have this right here. Billionaires executives decide to cancel the shows as a unit based on just one thing, which is numbers. If you don't match the numbers and they don't want to give you the money for the numbers, they'll trash. You're trash, period. They move on to the next one. That's really that simple. It's 1 + 1 is 2, period. Which is exactly what Amy Bruni said. And sometimes it does take a long time to get notified if you're going to get re-signed. It's not, it doesn't happen overnight unless you are like Zak and you are number 1. Right? But stirring this up is rough. Really shouldn't have done it. You have to go in knowledgeable because they will cancel you so fast if you can't keep up with the Ghost Adventures numbers. And once again, I haven't seen much self-promotion from them. They could have done more. They should have been posting to social media outlets and trying to gain followers that way, and they weren't. And I know what Dakota's going to say, that he signed on in post-production. He had a lot of late nights, a lot of 24-hour days editing. Why'd you do that to yourself then? Why didn't you hire a post-production crew? Are you trying to be nice to the network? You're trying to be nice to the production company and say, I'll save you some money and I'll do post-production myself? That was stupid. They have millions of dollars. Why would you suffer? Why would you let yourself suffer? Don't make your fans feel bad for you, because you could have negotiated that in. You should have a post-production team, 100%. You need fresh eyes looking at your content. That's okay if you have the last say, but you shouldn't be up 24 hours. What are you doing? What are you doing? Once again, tells me he didn't know how to negotiate a contract and he didn't hire an attorney. Director Stanley Kubrick, he did The Shining, and I studied him while I was in film school. He said this quote once. He said, everything in film has already been done. There are no new ideas. Everything's already been taken. But it is your job as a director, as a filmmaker, to do it better. So do it better, Dakota. This was your first shot. You got your first season. 4 seasons in. It got canceled. So what? Move on to the next one. Life's not over. Now it might be. You might have just blacklisted yourself. That's terrible. I'm just going through these again. I'm sorry. I guess my only note to the content creators and YouTubers, before you open your mouth, understand the hierarchy in film. Everyone thinks that Zak's the top of the list, the cream of the crop. No, he's not. The network, the executives in there are above him. They're the ones that have the say. Even if everybody wrote into the network and threw a hissy fit, wouldn't matter, and that would make it worse. In fact, Dakota tweeted today saying, please don't harass the network. Oh my God, he's dug himself a hole. He's dug himself a grave. Let him lay in it. There's nothing he can do now. It's over. Even if it was going to get re-signed, it will not now. I can promise you that, because he's made such a big stink out of it. Now here's the opposing thing. I get it. People are bored with Ghost Adventures. I get it. I think that's why Zak's being attacked. He's been the only one at the top for so long, and good for him. That's not bad, right? However, competition is good. It is. It not only would keep Zak on his toes, but it would keep the other shows on their toes. You can't be at the top by yourself forever. You just can't. It's not good. He needs a little friendly competition. Freshen it up. Maybe do a crossover. You know what I mean? Like, they come on his show, he goes on their show. You help each other out. That's what musicians do, right? Musicians do it all the time. You get a new musician that comes in that brings in like Elton John or somebody from the past to sort of help revive their career and vice versa, right? That's what you're supposed to do, is help build each other up. Community. But with paranormal, it's dog eat dog. And that's because the genre is still so new. And now that Zak's at the top and he's alone, everyone's ready to tear him down. He's not the gatekeeper of paranormal. He's just the only one, other than Amy Bruni, that understands paranormal film, because he went to film school. Not everybody understands film. These paranormal investigators will get signed to production companies, and then they essentially depend on the production company and network to do all the filming stuff. Big mistake. That's how you get false evidence edited in post-production, and then you get canceled. 100%. You should know everything if you're in paranormal and you want to do film. Zak does need competition. I think that he would actually get more views on his show if he had a little bit of friendly competition, because people wouldn't be so bored with Ghost Adventures. Like, I know it's still the number one. That's great. But people are still bored. He needs competition. He really does. And he's been alone at the top for so long now. It's good. Like, you know, he's afraid, I think, with his ego that someone's going to come in and take him down. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that would happen. Just as a community, we need to do more, be more, learn more. Being an investigator to be in this community isn't enough. It's not going to cut it in the film industry. 2 videos talking smack about Zak. I saw this guy saying now he has museum employees coming forward that used to work there with their experiences with him and how toxic it was. And I'm so glad that I've been saying this for a while. Zak has some toxic people around him, personally and professionally. And I wouldn't believe a word coming out of these people's mouths, because a lot of them are females that have made advances, that wanted to date him. It didn't work out. And of course, now they have vengeful feelings towards him, right? You know, now it's interesting because Zak's been quiet. He hasn't said anything. Have you ever seen it? Like, what's that old saying? I said it on Instagram or Twitter the other day. I said, confidence is quiet, insecurities are loud. And look how loud Dakota is being. Look how quiet Zak is being. Zak had, I know people that have worked and currently work at the museum, so I know a lot of juicy deets in there that I wouldn't share, but there's some crazy people in there. There's one girl I know that, would take all of Zak's fan, mail, not only mail, but also like any artwork that was drawn of him. And apparently she has like a shrine in her house of Zak, and like creepy. So like, you're talking about ultimate fangirls. These girls that go to work there just want to like breathe his air. He's a very, let's see, where should I start this next part? The private sector of Zak. So I met Zak in 2011. We've had an on again, off again friendship for 13 years, right? We've always had this friendship where we come in each other's lives and then we disconnect, and then we come in each other's lives. Like, I was with him obviously 2011, and then I saw him again 2013 when I went to Scarefest in Kentucky. And then he did a private event at the Stanley Hotel, and I got to investigate and hang out with him there. And Billy was there. And then, we kind of went away. That was when I was working in Los Angeles. And then I moved to Vegas in 2015, 16. Found out that he was sneakily following me on Twitter. I didn't even know it. And then he'd messaged me on Twitter telling me, how proud he was of what I accomplished. He found the YouTube channel. It was funny because even though I was critiquing the shit out of him, and you guys have seen some of those videos, I was critiquing the shit out of Zak. And he was just like supporting me. He's like, yeah, you get it. You're doing great. You know your shit with film. Like, we've been in public together, and he'll introduce me to people, and he's like, oh, this is Krystal. Like, she knows her shit, and that makes me feel so proud because I do really, really respect him, not only as an investigator, but as a filmmaker. I understand what he's gone through in this industry and how hard it takes to be at the top. And we've had tiffs over the years, I've talked about it. Like, I get most mad at him when we go through phases where we're not talking, because I'm like, I just hate that. Don't ghost people. Don't ghost your friend. Just be like, hey, I have to disappear for a while. But that's just who he is. He's a Scorpio moon, an Aries sun. I think he's a Capricorn rising. He's a workaholic. That's a Capricorn rising. Aries sun is what you see on TV, this like aggressive person, demon hunter. But his Scorpio moon is just so withdrawn, right? And I know this because I've been with him privately. And he's quiet. Like, he's not, when you're with him in person, he's not the same. He's not this big person, I'm going to come get you. He's very quiet. He doesn't talk to a lot of people. He's got bad social anxiety. He's talked about this public before. When I've been with him in public settings, like, his shoulders get, and you're looking at him, right? Because you're like, where's the Zak Bagans I know from TV? That's a different person. When he's filming, he's in Aries. He's in Aries mode. When he's in private life and you're out in public with him, wherever that may be, even at the museum, he's withdrawn and he's quiet and he talks to you and he whispers and he doesn't want everybody to hear what you're saying. He's a very private person when it comes to his personal life. He doesn't talk badly about anybody, not about ex-girlfriends, not about current girlfriends, I've never heard him say a bad thing about Nick, and I think he has a lot to say about Nick. He doesn't talk about people. He's just quiet and withdrawn. I think that he went through a lot in his youth. I think he went through a lot as a kid, and that's why he wouldn't treat people like that. And I think he's misunderstood. He's kind of the ugly duckling, I think, when he was a kid. I think that he was like this ugly, nerdy kid when he was a kid growing up, and he grew up to be this hunk on television. But, even if you become the hunk, inside you still feel like you're that nerdy, geeky guy, right? And that's who he feels like. He's not good enough for girls, like, it's socially awkward. And it's just weird because of how misunderstood he is, since I know him on a personal level, that everybody's tearing him down and they don't even know how he is. They don't even know how withdrawn and quiet, and he's not. They're judging him from the persona they know him to be with Ghost Adventures, and that's just not who he is in real life. There was this guy that popped up on my FYP today. I instantly knew he was full of shit because he was like, oh, I've got 10,000 followers from 2 videos I posted. I'm just going to keep doing a series, so follow me for more. And the first thing out of his mouth is, Zak was born and raised in Las Vegas. No, he wasn't. Immediately block. You already don't even know what you're talking about. He wasn't born and raised in Vegas. He lives there now. He DJ'd, yeah, but not. So my point is be careful what you're listening to, because people do not know what they're talking about. And I have a feeling there's going to be some serious shit that comes out. I'm predicting this. And I predicted it correctly so far. I said after Dakota started this, January 14th, I said, he's going to keep running himself into the ground and he's going to get blacklisted like Nick Groff. And then Nick Groff came out of the woodwork. So I've now predicted 2 things. I'm predicting now that there's going to be girls coming out from the museum saying that he is preying on them or doing weird things because he turned them down, essentially, is what happened. And he's got some toxic people working there still currently that report on him that he's literally under surveillance all the time. And it's going to break my heart to watch this because I do know him in his personal life, and it's not right what's happening. It's a big, severe case of jealousy. Someone's the cream of the crop at the top, and I think that he worked to get there. He paid his dues, And now it's like the downfall of him. Everybody wants to see him burn. It's crazy to me. It's so dark. It's so dark because I know him as, personally, and it's really sad to, see him going through this. I know you're going to ask me, are you still talking to him? No, I haven't talked to Zak in about 3 years. I think that Dakota has not talked to him for about the same amount of time. And what I think happened, and this is just speculation, prediction, this is not a fact, this is just me predicting. From what I can tell from mutual friends of ours with Zak and I, even Dakota, essentially, Zak got in a very serious relationship like 3 or 4 years ago, and he pretty much ghosted everybody in his life, and that included me, and that included Dakota. I'm not saying that that's right or wrong, okay? But once again, just because Zak's a celebrity doesn't mean he's not human. Can you look back in your own life and think, if you were in a relationship and you ghosted all your friends, because I've done it, you get so deep with this person that you're with that like nobody else matters and you just stop talking to everybody. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. I think that's very ego-driven and unhealed. But I think that's what happened. And everybody learns lessons different times in their life. So I think that when Zak got in this serious relationship a few years ago, he ghosted all of us at the same time. I was mad at one point too and sad. I'm in the same city as him. I mean, he would text me at 10 o'clock at night, come to the museum, hang out at the museum, let's go do this, whatever. And then all of a sudden just like never heard from him again. And I have reached out to him, not in a while. It's probably been a couple of years. I haven't reached out. But I did try to text him once every like 4 months to say, hey, just saying hi. Hope everything's good. Like I'll be at the museum, something. And no, I was just met with silence. So I don't know if my number was blocked. I have no idea. But I'm assuming this is what Dakota's also talking about. I'm not saying this is right, but people's love languages are different. And we don't know what the relationship that Zak has with his girlfriend, right? So maybe their love language is ghosting all of their friends and it just being the two of them. And that's okay. You have to just sort of accept it and walk away. Now, I know what you're going to ask me. You're going to say, well, why is Dakota accusing him of not talking to him for 3 or 4 years and not helping with the series? Dakota was on how many episodes of Ghost Adventures? A lot. By that point, Zak was probably like, you don't need me. And where is he going to find the time to do that? He's doing all this stuff with Eli Roth and he has the museum going. Zak, he's not going to be able to help. And Dakota probably knew that from the beginning. Zak probably said, I will sign this, but I can't help you. You're on your own. Now, Dakota could have gone higher up than Zak if he really needed help. He could have gone higher up and said, hey, I need help. Can someone get a hold of Zak and let him know I could really use some help or support now? But the place not to do it is to blast him on social media. You're two grown men that should have had conversations. You need to learn how to communicate. You need to clear your throat chakra. And you need to learn how to communicate and not hold it in for 4 years until you explode and then air your dirty laundry everywhere. It's not a good look. It's just not a good look. Be a grown up and handle it like a grown up does. So I talked about Zak, talked about how I personally know him. I'm really worried about what's going to come out about him next because I think people are trying to come out now for likes and for views. And I think that he's going to keep getting attacked. I can't save him from this, nor do I want to. And obviously, I haven't talked to him for 3 years. But you don't see me acting like Dakota just because I haven't talked to him for 3 years. You can't act like that. People live their lives. You don't control other people's lives. And we don't know. There could be more to this story. There's 3 sides to every story, right? Dakota's side, Zak's side, and the truth is somewhere in between, right? We're never going to know the truth. Something else could have happened. Dakota's clearly not taking accountability for his own series and his numbers being poor. So that probably means he doesn't take accountability in his personal life either, which means if Zak and him did have a falling out, he's still just looking to blame somebody. And he knows Zak is so high up on the chain that he's not going to say anything. He's going to stay quiet because, once again, confidence is quiet. So Dakota's just out here throwing a fit. It's just embarrassing. It looks like a toddler throwing a fit and not getting what they want. Having his mom tweet, oh my God, it's just so embarrassing. On a professional level, you know, like, I get it. Gen Z is known for not being well with people and not liking people and not wanting to communicate with people, texting and not being on the phone. But like, this isn't how to handle it. You're in a professional work environment. You're an executive producer at a major network. You're getting a dream job that I would die for. I've been trying to fight for my series for 10 years. You got 4 seasons. Where's the gratefulness and humbleness? It's okay if it didn't work. That means something better is coming, right? It's all about the clout now, right? So who knows what's about to come out next on him, and I'm really concerned. And just remember that Zak's Scorpio moon is very quiet and withdrawn, and you've seen it yourself regarding his personal relationships with girlfriends. Zak doesn't post his girlfriends. He doesn't post about his girlfriends. He doesn't post about his relationships. That's exactly who his Scorpio moon is. He's secretive. He keeps that in a shell and in safety so that no one can harm it, right? Because some of his relationships growing up were damaging, right? So if he can control one thing, it's keeping his personal relationships safe, even his mom, right? There's a lot of things people think they know about him and they don't. They don't know. Because he's so private. There's a lot of things, and I would never share it. Never share. It's not my place to share. There's a lot of things about Zak's life that he has shared like an onion, right? It's like an onion, and he's only shared the top layer. It's just, you don't know what else is underneath there because he keeps it so safe. And it just breaks my heart to watch this happen. I don't want anybody to be bullied. It's not just Zak. If this were reversed in Dakota, it would be just as traumatizing. All right, I'm going to move on. Now, I do think that Dakota has a personal problem with Zak. I do think they had an issue. Whether it was this ghosting issue from Zak's relationship, I don't know. But it should not be being crossed over to the professional side of this, where everyone's now blaming Zak for the cancellation. And it's really bad. And then, last night I saw that Dakota drug Amy Bruni into it. He basically posted this picture with all these females in Paranormal and said most of these women aren't even on Travel Channel anymore. And he tagged Travel Channel. He's just asking to get a lawsuit at this point. Amy Bruni basically stepped in. She tweeted and she did a video. And I was just so proud that somebody finally stood up for Zak without standing up for Zak. And she said, wait a second, everybody's freaking out for no reason. She's like, Kindred Spirits hasn't been canceled yet. It all goes based off of numbers, and that's why you're canceled. And everybody's having a meltdown for no reason. It always takes this long. Someone said, can we get access to the public data of the, what series you're doing good and not? No. Do you think the billionaires care what you think as one single fan? No, they don't care. What's it matter if you access the data? You're not paying for it. I mean, I know you're paying $5 to access the app, but you're not paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for this. There's no way a consumer has access to this kind of data. And you wouldn't even know how to read it. You wouldn't even know how to read the data. Shows being canceled. Let's talk about that. Basically, Ghost Brothers was canceled. Holzer Files was canceled. Katrina and Jack were canceled. And they're pretty sure Destination Fear will be canceled. This is opinions from an executive producer, me, and why. Numbers, and filming quality. Holzer Files probably had the best filming quality, but I think people are just kind of sick of seeing Dave Schrader at this point. He's kind of, what is Zak and everybody calling him the pterodactyl of paranormal? We need some fresh faces in here, guys. We can't keep recycling the same people. God bless Katrina and Jack, because my God, they've gone rounds. They've changed the name. Zak's had 18 different shows on Travel Channel because his dad pays for it. Good for him. But it's just boring. He's not a good investigator. Didn't we see Jack Osborne hold the millimeter up to like a light fixture, and he was like, it's making the millimeter go off. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock, because it's electricity. So he doesn't even know how to ghost hunt, and Katrina was carrying that show. Poor Katrina. If anyone's been thrown around more in this industry, it's been Katrina. And she's not out here acting like an idiot, is she? If anyone has is allowed to talk about not getting re-signed and having problems is Katrina, and she's not out here acting like this. Because why? She doesn't want to get blacklisted from the industry. Professional. Ghost Brothers, let's be real. I didn't enjoy Ghost Brothers, and the filming quality was not good. They weren't using good cameras. I think I even saw in an interview that they said that they didn't have the funds to buy good cameras. You can just tell that whoever is filming it doesn't know how to edit very well. It's very generic. They don't know how to film it. And this goes back once again, that being smart when you sign to a production company to make sure that it doesn't get... That's why I haven't agreed to sign for 10 years. Because I don't want to be canceled. I'm going to do it right the first time. It's going to be right, and it's going to keep getting signed. I'm not going to fail. So many people, especially investigators, are so apt to just get signed to make a quick buck, especially as content creators and YouTubers. You will fail. You will get canceled. It's not worth it. Once again, you should understand the industry. It's why I have an entire channel dedicated to this knowledge. Destination Fear. Why were they canceled? Numbers, of course, that's always number one, but their film quality wasn't good either. I complained for 2 seasons saying, why aren't they holding camera mounts? Dakota's the EP on that. He should have been in charge getting the camera mounts. They're like $60 a piece on eBay. Why aren't you using camera mounts? What are you doing? It looks like a bad episode of the Blair Witch Project, and I'm about to have a seizure. Where's your damn camera mount? They probably got a lot of money for season 1. Season 1's always the most expensive. Why didn't you buy camera mounts? What's going on? This is YouTube quality at best. And yeah, I mean, it did improve, but people were complaining about Chelsea screaming over time, right? Let's be honest, Tanner's a little monotone. And, Dakota always had the camera facing him, doing a vlog like on YouTube. It was not Zak's quality. And you're not going to start at Zak's quality, right? Because he is so many seasons in, but you can do better. As camera techs, Alex and Tanner should have been doing private film classes on off seasons to ensure that they were keeping up with their film skills. Even Chelsea, for that matter. And they just kept coming back, and it was missing, and it shows through the numbers that people weren't entertained. And that's just all it is just quality was not up to par. And that's okay. This is how we learn and we grow and we evolve. And that's what Dakota should be taking this as a lesson. Now Dakota's online in his group releasing private information regarding his contract in his private Facebook group, talking about the royalties. Royalties basically mean every time that it replays, do you get money for it? You should be getting royalties. That should be negotiated in your contract. And today, Dakota disclosed that they do not have royalties, which also tells me, once again, he did not know how to negotiate a contract. He kicked himself in the foot. But let me tell you what, he shouldn't be disclosing even parts of his contract online. And I can promise you that Discovery's watching him, and they're building a case on him right now. They've warned him. He said, I've been warned. I keep getting, calls to stop. He probably has multiple NDAs he signed. Probably one with Zak. He signed one with Ghost Adventures. He signed one with Zak's production company. He probably signed one with the network. And he's still going. So basically what they're doing, even with the warnings, they're just building a case on him, and he will probably be hit with a lawsuit or even jail time if he doesn't stop, and then being blacklisted. So that's kind of where we're at. He's kind of just done it to himself. You just can't act like that as a filmmaker. I know for a fact, because I have producers, that they've said that attorneys are now involved for damage control. He's now considered a liability to the network, to the production company. He's a liability. And even if they haven't gotten an official cancellation yet, he probably will. They're probably holding off giving him a cancellation to see if he'll calm down. He's in big trouble. And if you are a fan of his, you won't egg this on. You need to try to let him calm down, because I think it's fueling the fire. If he says something and a bunch of people bump him up and retweet it and talk about it, don't help him burn, guys. He needs to calm down. I don't want him to face this. I really don't. I don't know him. I've never met him. But he's not learning. He's getting warning after warning, and he's still not learning. Don't fuel the fire. This is very serious. I think I need you to understand how serious this is. When you're signing a legally binding contract with a network like Discovery with billions of dollars, and you're going against said network by releasing private information, he knows what he's doing, and this is not good. This is not good. He probably won't be able to afford an attorney, and then that's when he faces jail time. So this is scary. This is really scary to watch. This is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen unfold, and I thought the Nick Groff thing was bad. He didn't only set the bridge on fire, he set himself on fire, he set his crew on fire, and now he's setting the whole community on fire. So don't burn it with him. He's a liability. His ego is loud, confidence is quiet. And like Amy said, this whole process and what's happening is normal. There's nothing weird about it. It's just that people don't understand how film works. Three sides to every story. You know, and I just want to talk about, too, I worked with Pilgrim Studios back in the day, which is where Ghost Hunters was signed to. Also, Amy Bruni. Okay, Pilgrim Studios is, I don't think they do as much paranormal anymore. I haven't checked in a while. Anyway, Pilgrim Studios is named after one of their executives, which is Craig Pilgrim. Okay, and I'm telling you this so that you can get a clear vision on who these billionaires are that are making these decisions, because it's not Zak. Okay? Craig Pilgrim, and you can probably Google him if he comes up. I don't know if he's public. He is a Texas rancher. Okay, I've met him several times. I actually like him. But when he comes into Pilgrim Studios in Los Angeles, people run like mice. They're scared to death of him because here comes the billionaire. You know, there's not many times in your life you're going to meet a billionaire, right? What's he a billionaire from? Why does he have so much money? Investments? Well, now, yes. But originally, a rancher. Cattle rancher. Cattle rancher from Texas. Just got very successful off of cattle ranching. And when he comes into Los Angeles office, he's a little bit southern, you know what I'm saying? He's got his cowboy boots on, some dirty jeans. He's got his Wrangler shirt on and a cowboy hat. He does not look like you're walking by a billionaire in the streets of Los Angeles. He just happened to get a lot of money, hit a gold mine, and had nowhere else to invest his money, so he made Pilgrim Studios, which is what funds all of the shows at Pilgrim. Now imagine that times 10, 15, 20 at Discovery, making the decisions for where their money goes. If you were an executive personally, and let's say you just had you were a solo executive that was supposed to give $400,000 to Dakota's show. That's a lot of money. What could we do with $400,000? You could buy a house, average house in America, right? Even in Vegas, if it's $400,000, $500,000, you could buy a house with that kind of money, right? If someone asked you to put $400,000 on Dakota's show and it had failing numbers, would you do it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You've had 4 seasons to prove your worthiness to me and your success, and you've failed via numbers. $400,000 is a lot of money. We don't just throw around lightly, okay? And I feel like it's funny, the paranormal community, including Zak. Zak makes this big production, right? He's been doing it all these years. God, he makes it look so easy. It's not that hard, right? You show up with Jay, Aaron, Billy. You get your freaking cameras, your night vision out. We put the X cameras down. We got the ghost gear, and we film. We're good to go. That's all you do. That might have been season 1. But they have cinematographers now, director of photography on set, photographers. They have a lot of people on set now. It's a full production. Sorry, my dogs are barking. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of money. And it's not just grabbing a camera mount and putting it on their shoulder anymore. It's a full production. And unfortunately, you do have to keep up with the big dog, which is Zak. And with Dakota's YouTube vlog quality, it's not going to cut it. And it did it. And I feel bad for Dakota. I wish he wasn't in this position. But he also did this to himself. And I don't think he went to film school. I think that he just happened to get big from YouTube. But some education would do him some good. Going to film school would do him some good. Because you've got to have respect where that money comes from. And he may never get another series again anywhere. And let me tell you, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. All right, I'm going to move over to this screen because I have some more questions from people, and I just wanted to share some of the screenshots that we had because people asked me to. So we're going to go on to camera, and then we're going to address this other stuff that you guys want to talk about. Okay, this is because I have a private group for Ghost Girl Diaries on Facebook, and some people were asking me some private messages. Sometimes in life you face a dilemma, and it's about making a moral decision to do what's right, even though it may hurt you. Man, you want to talk about moral dilemmas? I've been asked to be a porn star before I get signed in paranormal, and I'm not out here squawking like this. Where's the LGBTQ paranormal shows? And you're sitting here throwing a hissy because your numbers are bad and you got canceled? And you're calling it a moral dilemma? Hurt you? You're not going to be in film. You're going to be going back to being a YouTuber. It's an understatement. Chris Fleming released this statement. I have learned in the industry. Now, Chris Fleming's worked closely with Zak. I've worked with Chris, by the way. I freaking love this guy. He's amazing. Chris is amazing. He's very psychic. He's legit. I love Chris. His energy is like intoxicating. You just when I'm around Chris, I just don't want to leave him because he's just, I swear he's an earth angel. He has that kind of energy. You just want to seep him in, you know what I mean? But he always has really good advice and really good, I feel like some of these things he says are from the divine, you know what I mean? He said, I have learned in this industry that there are those that will support you, but then take your pitches, concepts, ideas for their own profit for themselves. Why not work together, grow? Sadly, it's hard to find honest individuals you can trust, but Spirit and God know the truth. And of course, people asked if it was about Zak. He said, I'm not getting involved in the drama. And I think really all that Chris is saying is that we shouldn't be going against each other. We shouldn't be. We should be working together and building each other up. This genre is so new. There's no need for us to have really bad problems like this. This is the tweet that Dakota left, which said, sad most of these women aren't even on Travel Channel anymore. I thought we would address it. So we have Katrina. Poor Katrina. She's been thrown around. She doesn't deserve that. I love her. I adore her. Cindy Kaza, she kind of failed walking into something with Dave Schrader, honestly. It's not her fault. I think people just don't want to see Dave. Amy Bruni, we love her. I love her. I admire her. I adore her. I don't think she's going to be canceled. Chelsea, I don't know why they're so upset because I don't know how many times she has talked on social media about not wanting to do the series and she wants to go back to school to be a doctor. She wants to be an eye doctor. So why are you so upset that you're getting canceled? You know what I mean? I don't know who Janie is. Who is that? I don't know who these last two people are. I think they were psychics or something. But you're right. There aren't female in paranormal, and it's unfair. And trust me, I've been trying to fight this injustice for a while. Kindred Spirits, Amy released this a day ago. She said, in the same place it's ever been every year, we still have same new episodes airing and decisions regarding other seasons never take place until the season has ended and all the numbers have come in. I appreciate everyone's concern, but this is perfectly normal. So she's also kind of saying, without saying it, that Dakota is throwing a hissy. This is perfectly normal. Dakota said Holter Files is canceled. Once again, numbers, but also just Dave. Portals to Hell canceled. Numbers, but Jack. Destination Fear basically canceled. Numbers and vlog quality. Kindred Spirits, I think it'll be fine. Ghost Brothers canceled. Once again, numbers, but also quality. We have to be real here. And not only that, they're also now competing with Eli Roth quality. This is really the tweet that started this whole dilemma. I don't know if you guys saw it. Or I'm sorry, it's not a tweet. This is the original message that was in Dakota's Facebook page. I really don't want to go over it, so if you want to screenshot this and zoom it in, you're more than welcome to. I'll leave it here for a second, and then I'm going to scroll here. And then he edited a lot of it. But this is basically where it all started, where Dakota's basically talking shit about Zak, making fun of him, saying he doesn't want to fly. And all he wants to do is ghost hunt in these 4 states because he's scared to fly. And we're not exploring candy stores in our girlfriend's house, so he's basically making fun of Zak's girlfriend. That's just not cool to drag people into it. It's just not cool. And then he kept editing this because people were taking screenshots and sending it to the network, and that was where the network first got clued in that he couldn't shut up. Then Chip Coffey did Chris Fleming's, which I thought was great, because that means he supports it and he understands this. So there's people that are kind of coming out for, in this side of no drama and like keep the peace in silence. And that was Chip Coffey as well. Please everyone, this was today. Please everyone, do not attack the networks, Dakota said. Keep your support for the show positive. Writing and encouraging them to renew is good, but threatening to cancel your subscription is not. He started this. He caused it. What did he think was going to happen? But the fact that the network had to step in, he's in big trouble. He's in big trouble, guys. John Tenney tuned in on it, basically saying that like he's been getting multiple people. John Tenney was like, I think the tweet was not here, it's missing, but basically the tweet was something like Dakota said, I'm getting like damage control phone calls, and then John Tenney said, as someone who's gotten many of those calls the last couple of decades, I can only say they've become a source of pride, so be prideful about it. Yeah, if you want to get sued. And I also don't see John Tenney on any new shows. You don't want to get blacklisted. This was an interesting tweet. Someone said, what would you do if you got Zak alone in a dark alley? And Dakota's response said, pray for him. So I don't know if that means that like he would be scared to be there or Dakota would beat him up. But either way, that's just not good. If you feel comfortable asking what caused the end of your relationship with Gak, great question. This tells me that I think Dakota was probably ghosted the same way I was. But you can't go on a rampage like this. Then I really liked this. A fan said, I'm sorry, but this isn't the right way to go about this. Publicly posting and shaming someone who gave you guys an opportunity is not going to get you renewed. The shade posted on Twitter is honestly pretty childish and unprofessional. Just say thank you for the opportunity to take your talents elsewhere. If the show is really edited and filmed, etc. by you guys, it would only be in great position to continue on another platform what you're doing. I'm sorry, but Zak doesn't really owe anyone anything. And I really agree with this statement. However, he wouldn't be able to take the show to another network. I think that it would die at Travel Channel, and if he did create a new show, it would be named something else. That's exactly why I haven't signed Ghost Girl Diaries to just anyone, because I will not let it fail. You can't let it fail. Then Dakota posted this like ranty video. I'm going through some more. Is Zak's ego the catalyst for so much harm in the paranormal community? Zak's quiet. Where's his ego at? Someone said interesting, or Dakota said interesting question. So he's just egging everybody on. Someone said not a question, but I personally think it would be very, very funny if you did something with Nick Groff. It would definitely kill the show. But if you can like guarantee that it's over, it can hell of a comeback, be very, very funny comeback. Dakota said great idea. I'm like, I hope that you know what happened with Nick Groff. But I don't know if that would be a good idea. I think that'd be a really bad idea. But you know what? He's already dug himself such a deep trench at this point. Someone just throw flowers on the grave at this point. He said, here's the tweet. I swear to God, if I get one more damage control phone call, too late, it won't help you. So this to me says that Zak probably called him and said, you need to like knock it the F off. And he said, too late, it won't help you. It's just a mess. It's just a mess. This is so much dirty laundry being aired publicly. It's just not even funny. Then someone's like, you're doing something right. Oh, please stop. This is not professional in film. This isn't how film works. This is why there's not many people in film, because you have to be able to bite your tongue even when you're pissed. You think I haven't been pissed? I've been trying to get this stupid series signed for 12 years. And I keep getting turned down for one reason, because I have a vagina. Do you see me ranting like this, like a psychopath on all my platforms? No. You know how I've been in negotiations with every single network. I have dirt on every single network that I could share with you guys, why I would or would not sign with these networks. Do you think I would go out and throw a fit like this? No, because if you do this, you're making a name for yourself. And then when you do try to go get signed, they're going to be like, oh no, I saw the PR stunt you did. No, absolutely not. We're not signing you because you're a freaking liability. We're not even going to touch that. And it's just what he's doing. If Destination Fear doesn't get renewed, we will continue to bring the show either to a new network or we'll make our own YouTube channel. It's probably the best option at this point. He's not going to be able to take it with him. I can promise you that. Once it's in contract, it dies there. It's already a self-shot and self-edited show. I can easily keep creating it. The show just needs a new home. So to me, this says that he's trying to pitch another network on his social media. And good luck with the way you've acted publicly. Which makes me just sad for him, really. Now I have a couple little final thoughts that I want to talk to you guys about. Kat had texted me some stuff, so I want to make sure that I don't miss anything that we've kind of said to each other back and forth. I guess my biggest question, does Zak need to be involved as an EP like Dakota claims? Not after the amount of work that Dakota physically had on Ghost Adventures. He shouldn't have really needed help, honestly. And if he did need help, there were other people he could have gone to or other people he could have gotten Zak's attention with. But doing it like this now, 4 years later, without communicating is just not a good idea. Let's see, I'm making sure. He tweeted, never meet your idols because they're real people. Celebrities are the same as you and me. They go through the same shit we go through. They go through the same things that you and I'm a person too. I know I've been on YouTube for years, but I'm still a person. You know, I had to release my book in 2021 because I had a roommate living with me that experienced and witnessed a traumatic part of my life, right? I was married at the time. Sorry, my headphones are starting to hurt a little bit. I was married at the time that this roommate was living with me. And my current husband had a mental breakdown. He went to Afghanistan and Iraq. He was in the military. This is in my book, if you've read my book. And he had a traumatic brain injury. He was knocked out for hours and left in the field. And he was at war twice. He had a lot of mental problems. He had a total mental breakdown while this person was living with me. This person did sign an NDA with me, but I had to kick her out of my house because she wasn't paying bills and she wasn't getting a job. She was so mad that I kicked her out that she threatened to basically expose my private and personal life. So I had to hurry up and release a book and tell the story that I wasn't ready to share because I was scared she was going to tell everybody about my husband's mental health breakdown. This is why NDAs are so important, because that was harmful to me. I went through a very personal thing that happened to happen when someone was living in my house. Do you think that I chose to go through that? First of all, I didn't enjoy going through that either. I didn't choose to watch my marriage fail and watch my husband have to be put in an asylum. That wasn't fun to do. I'm sorry that you were there when it happened to happen, but to threaten to expose me afterwards, I am a YouTuber and I'm successful, but I am still a fucking human. I don't know what Zak's going through, but he's still a human. And I can guarantee you he's gone through just as much traumatic shit as you and I have both. He doesn't deserve to be exposed. He's just a fucking person that society decided to put him on a pedestal. And I understand. It just sucks. I'm going through the last of these notes here. I still think we're just persecuting the wrong person here. And I don't think we should be, crowning the king Nick Groff. I'm not saying Zak's perfect. I'm not saying Nick's perfect. I'm saying everybody's screwed up. And Dakota started a shitstorm. And I will tell you that people like this, like Dakota, I stay far, far away from because I think they're unsafe for the paranormal community. I would never work with him personally because I don't trust him now. Because he's so apt to expose the network and everything else. He's going to expose anybody that works with him. So I would not trust him if you are part of the paranormal community. Okay, this is the questions from fans. And by the way, can I just say I'm so proud of you guys? Because I put this question in the podcast, in the Paranormal Ghost Girl Diaries private group chat. It's the private group, so you'll have to join it. I said, doing a level-headed podcast today on the idiocracies going on in the paranormal. If you have any questions, you want me to answer them from a film perspective, drop them below. I'm filming it tonight. And the questions I got, I love you guys. I am so proud of my damn Ghost Girl army. You guys are smart. You guys are learning. You've learned everything I've said, and I can tell by the way these questions were written. And chef's kiss, I am so proud of the community that we've built. You guys aren't just paranormal investigators. You are filmmakers, and I love every single one of you that have been on this journey with me. So, first question is, from a paranormal producing perspective, do you think the show In Arms is worth saving? This is Destination Fear. It's not savable. That's an executive producer talking. And I'm sorry. I understand that people love Dakota. I understand you want to save him. I understand you want him to succeed. If the numbers were bad, nobody's going to take it. He could take it to 10 other networks, and if the numbers were bad, no one's going to take it, which is why if he's going to redo another show, he's going to have to let the Destination Veer title die. He's not going to be able to take that title with him to YouTube either, because I think Travel Channel will probably own the rights to it. It's not savable. If the numbers are bad, there's nothing anybody can do about it. And now that he's thrown this fit online and made this huge public thing, I don't think he'll get signed to anybody ever again. Or at least he'll be put on the back burner for a while. He really, at this point, and as a filmmaker perspective, he needs to disappear for like a couple of years. And I don't mean that as an online, like he can post content on YouTube. Like he needs to go away for a few years and like calm down and like let the dust settle before he comes back again and try. Yeah, this is really bad. This is really bad on his record. Okay, the next question is, what's the normal time frame for networks to decide whether or not they will keep the show on or let it go? There isn't really a time frame. It depends on if it's really, really good or if it's really, really bad. So, for example, or in the middle, right? So, for example, Ghost Adventures is always at the top. The numbers are always the best. He's going to get re-signed. They're going to know it immediately, okay? Because it's one of their top running shows. Amy Bruni's in the middle. So they could be like, oh yeah, you're notified. Oh, you're not notified. Now she claims that they don't get notified till the very last minute, which tells me they're probably in the lower half of the lower numbers, but they'll probably get re-signed again. Dakota may have had a chance to get re-signed, but not after acting like this, for sure. And yeah, it's just, I don't even. It just depends on your numbers, I guess. What's the turnaround time for getting signed? It depends on if it's really good, mediocre, or bad. It's going to take longer to know if it's mediocre or bad, and if your numbers are really good, you're going to know immediately. Because, of course, the network's going to be like, yes, you're making us money. We love you. You make us money. We make you money. We'll make money together. We're signing you. With all the breaking of the NDAs and attacks on social media, can the series for Dakota and Destination Veer even be saved if there's enough fans asking for it? I mean, now it's caused someone else from the past to come back to light, which I think you're talking about Nick Groff. So let's address this and break it down. With breaking of the NDAs and attacks on social media, can it be saved? No. I mean, he may have still stood a chance, but not after all of this. Now he's just a liability, and it doesn't matter if at the end of the day, I'm sorry, but if fans wanted it that bad, the numbers would have already been there. Does that make sense? I know everybody's going to rush and get on Discovery Plus and try to just put it on a rerun and just keep watching it and try to help. That's not going to help. You can't look now the analysis is going to be okay, October low, December low, January low, February, okay, March, do you get what I'm saying? That's not how it works. It has to be a consistent flow on the flow chart, and the analytics have to be overall. It can't just be 1 month it was really good. And now the publicity stuff that he's done, and you're right. You said breaking NDAs, he's in trouble. You don't break an NDA. And anybody from the past that signed an NDA with me, they're all still current. And then the second we get purchased by another network, those NDAs will be under that network. So if someone wants to break an NDA, even when I'm under Travel or another company, now they're going to be sued by that network. Do you get what I'm saying? So NDAs are serious. They're serious. Even people at the museum, I know for a fact, everyone at the museum has signed an NDA. So anyone speaking out on that is probably full of shit. Or they're going to get in trouble because he makes everyone sign NDAs. Yikes, really bad. Speaking of NDAs, can one be permanent or are most just life contracts, or how do they work? Yeah, NDAs don't really expire. You know what I mean? And once again, NDAs aren't a bad thing. They protect both parties. Because once again, Dakota's not taking accountability. He's not perfect either. Zak and the company probably have tea on Dakota as well, but you don't see them out there blasting it to everybody. So the NDAs are good. They're good. I had a person living with me, okay, and this roommate saw my trauma that I went through, She was going to expose my trauma, but trust me, I have a lot more tea on her. But I can't expose it because we have an NDA that we signed together. And trust me, I'd rather talk about my trauma all day in my book than what her trauma was. Okay? Like hygienic and all kinds of other stuff. So once again, NDAs are good. NDAs are a good thing. Please look at it like it protects both people. No questions, just glad to see you back doing episodes. Love older episodes you did, talking about paranormal apps and the orbs that showed up crazy. Thank you so much. I love you guys. This concludes the podcast. I hope that we love it. I hope we like the new format. Please support the channel. Like all the videos that we post right now. Leave us comments. Help us boost in the algorithm. Make sure you subscribe. Try to share us on your social media. All of those little things help us. Make sure you're following us on TikTok so that we can get this going. Download, the Spotify podcast. I know that some of you prefer YouTube or Twitch over the podcast, but both places will help us with numbers to get us growing again. All the support that you can give us is great. I really don't want to talk about this stuff anymore, but I know you guys like hearing me talk from a producer standpoint, but when I do see this disruption in the paranormal community, it makes me sick, if I'm just being honest. I don't like to see people destroy each other. It's just really gross. And I do have a personal kickback in this because I do know Zak. And I've known him for so long. And I haven't talked to him in 3 years, and I'm not bad-mouthing him. I've been mad at him. I'm not going to lie about that. I hate when we don't talk and he ghosts me because, I feel like a friendship you should always be involved in each other's lives, But, people's love language, even in their personal relationships, are different. The way I deal with friendships, he deals with them differently. He is okay with coming in and out of your life. I don't like that, but that's his love language of friendship. That's not my love language of friendship. Do you see the difference? But you have to accept it. You can't just put him on blast. Like, what if Zak was a nobody? What if he wasn't in Ghost Adventures and he was just somebody like that we both knew? Would Dakota still be like blasting him like this? No, it's because he holds power and reign in Travel Channel. He's now an executive there. Let me tell you what, I've been in a lot of negotiations, right? I've been in negotiations with Amazon, with Netflix, with Hulu, with my documentary just came out on Tubi, my JonBenet documentary, right? I've done film festivals. I've done it all, girl. I've done YouTube for years. I've done the podcast. I've done it all, okay? But I will tell you, one bridge that shouldn't have been burnt was the one with Discovery, because that's actually a really good network. I've negotiated with them on a few occasions, and they were very pleasant. So for Dakota to burn that bridge is like, I wouldn't have done that. That's one bridge I wouldn't have burnt personally. Especially considering the umbrella has so many networks underneath it that he could have gone to. He could have moved it to a different channel. But, these are those life lessons. And I think it's really sad and embarrassing that we're watching Dakota go through like a really hard life lesson right now. He is young. He may have experience with YouTube, but he doesn't really have that much experience as an EP. He doesn't have that much experience negotiating contracts. He's only done 4 seasons, and he doesn't know. He's just young. He's a kid. And he's kind of having a public mental breakdown. And he just kind of like buried himself. And there's compassion in that. But you got to get your ego under control. That's why I preach shadow work so much. Like, his damaged inner child, Dakota's, is showing so bad right now. Like, he needs to do some healing within and some shadow work, because whatever happened inside is just pouring out, and it's just all of the blame is going on Zak. I know people are asking me, have you reached out to Zak? I want to, but like, I haven't talked to him in a couple of years. And I don't know how like awkward the interaction would be. I know that people report back to him when I do podcasts. I know he watches the podcast usually, or hears the podcasts, and if he knows or someone reports this to him, like, of course if Zak's out there listening, I want to talk to you. I want to rekindle the friendship. I'm not mad. I don't think it's appropriate for me to reach out, though, at this point, because I've tried to several times a few years ago and I never got a response. So at some point you need to just like be respectful of the person's energy, which is where I'm at right now. But, you know, he's always been the one to like leave the friendship and then come back. So I just feel like if and when he's ready, he knows like I'll always be here, because that's how it's been for 13 years. And I always have love for him. I think he's a beautiful human. I think he's a genius. I got to go down and see the museum that was opening several times alone. It was just him and I in the building. And I got to see how his mind works, and he's a genius, you know, like nobody knows. Like, I wish he showed that side of him more. I wish he was more vulnerable with the public, with that like quiet, weird, geeky side, nerdy. He's very nerdy. It's very nerdy. Because I think people would really like that side of him for a change. But I think he's also built up this persona now that it's, you know, that is the image of Ghost Adventures and he can't drop it. I also think it's like a protective barrier. He doesn't want to let people in because he doesn't want to get hurt, because look what's happening right now. He's being hurt. You know, I think this is one of the keys he's been through with his life, is like, oh, I let people in. I help people like Dakota. And then, you know, I'm quiet and then they hurt me type of thing, you know, and it's just, it's really bad. It's just really bad all the way around. I wish success to everyone. I wish success to Dakota. I wish success to Zak. I wish success to myself. But I really just wish that this wouldn't have gotten as bad as it is in the paranormal community. It's an embarrassment. And I'm sorry, but if you're a content creator or a YouTuber and you think you know about film because you went viral, I don't care if you have 2 million followers. If you've never worked in film, you have no clue what you're talking about. I don't have 2 million followers, and I've worked in film for 15 years. And it doesn't matter, you know, if you have... In fact, I think the more followers you have, the worse it is. Because if a content creator were to come in with 1 million followers, or, you know, people on their social media, and they were to get signed, the production company would run them over. And they would take control. They'd say, oh, you're just the face of it. You're the host. And we're going to do whatever we want with 12 episodes, and you don't get a say in it, even if there's fake evidence in it. And that's also because these content creators don't understand film. They haven't gone to film school. And I'm not talking about just like the hierarchy. Yes, understanding the hierarchy, understanding contracts, understanding negotiations, understanding what to say, understanding film for sure, from pre-production, production, post-production. And you can't learn that overnight. You can study it, which is why I wish Destination Fear would have taken that opportunity on off seasons to learn more, grow their knowledge. You can learn everything on YouTube anymore. I'm actually in the process of training a new camera tech right now, and she lives in a different state, so it's possible to do anywhere. But you have to put in that work for yourself. You have to look in the mirror, and you have to take accountability for what you've done and what you've created and what hasn't worked. I mean, I think there's a big reason I haven't gotten signed until, you know, I'm not signed yet. I haven't done negotiations, but I really don't think I was ready until now. I think I had to go through a lot of really bad things and bad negotiations and learning lessons and learning how to read contracts and learning how to negotiate with networks, learning how they work from the inside out in order to get where I'm at now. And now I'm more confident than ever before that I know that if I got to sign a series, it would be so successful it wouldn't ever get canceled, because I know the ins and outs. And without that 12 years of knowledge and getting turned down and having upsets and having disappointments, which is what Dakota's going through, those are some of the biggest learning lessons in life, is your failures. You need your failures. Your failures will teach you more than anything else in life will. And he's not looking at this like a lesson. He's looking at this like a persecution. And I'm worried for him. But I'm also going to keep my distance, because people like that I don't trust. And this is why I don't toy with other content creators or even celebrities, because they can turn on you in a drop of a hat. This industry's dog eat dog in film anyway, but paranormal's worse. It's a big little community, and anybody will be doing anything they can to tear someone else down to get to the top, which is what Dakota's doing, right? He's trying to tear Zak down. He's going to do everything. He's going to bring out Nick Groff. And you know, let's be real. Nick's not going to talk about cheating on his wife. And he's not going to talk about Viddy Space. And he's not going to talk about all the things, the bad things he did. He's just going to point the finger, right? Because it's hard for the human mind to take accountability. unless you've destroyed your ego, which takes shadow work. And let's be real, most people haven't done that. So we're going to see more people come out of the woodwork and take it out on Zak. And I bet you this whole time Zak's going to stay quiet. His Scorpio moon is just going to remain silent. But I can bet you he's watching everything. And I bet you he's hurt because he knows that, well, I let these people in and I helped them, even Nick for that matter. And now they're all going against me. And he's going to also be left at a crossroads. Zak's kind of going through a tower moment right now where he can either take this as a lesson and not let it destroy him, where he has to learn to still continue to trust people, right? Just be very particular with who you allow in your energy. And after this, he's going to have to really look around and say, who is still, on my side, or who tried to take me out. Or he can go the opposite way and just completely shut down and not have anything to do with anybody except people with ghost adventures, which I hope that doesn't happen. But yeah, this is interesting. So that's kind of where we're at right now. My dog are barking. I'm sorry for that growl. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Ghost Girl Diaries for the podcast. We will be back again next week, but I think we're going to do a lighter topic next week. Please make sure you download this on Spotify and all other apps that you guys love to hear us on, including Apple. We have a full list of it on Ghost Girl Diaries. Make sure you're subscribed to our new YouTube channel and our TikTok, and make sure you just like and love our content and comment, because we need you guys to boost us so we can get this going again. It is great to be back. I missed you so much. Please leave me comments. I can't wait to hear from you guys. And as always, as Krystal goes, I will catch you guys next time. Bye, guys. From the dead.